Hi guys, this is the Just Video in West, where I talk about life issues, navigating through life, one-on-one issues, and creating positivity in the society. And today with me I have my very beautiful and special guest. This is actually my very first episode, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I think as time goes on I'm gonna get it right.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah. My first ever guest and speaker on my podcast show. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Oluwaseun Opeyemi. It's my first podcast session too, so I'm very excited to be here, and I'm also here with Aaron. And just the background, myself and Aaron went to the same secondary school, and I don't think I've seen Aaron in 7-8 a long time. Yeah, so it's very, very, very amazing to be here today to sit with Aaron, to gist with Aaron, and to discuss life issues, lifestyle, positivity, and everything in between. But to do more introduction, my name is Oluwaseun Opeyemi. I'm a lawyer, but I also currently work in consulting. I consult with one of the big 4 consulting firms. Apart from being a consultant, I also love to live a positive life. I love to share positive information. I love to mentor young people, and I'm also an entrepreneur at heart. So it's amazing to be here.
That's true, and I think to actually add to that, we went same primary school, same secondary school, and there's this thing that I remembered like some few days ago while we were in secondary. It used to be like my 2 year senior. It always been like my 2 year senior. Right from primary school. So I can remember, you know the liturgy, right? I don't know if you can remember.
We went to Catholic schools, by the way.
Catholic school. Shout out to
all Catholic schools doing amazing and training great
and
people.
Our special, let's just put the name out there.
Only Child Catholic Secondary School. It's still premium though, somewhere in Ado-Ekiti. State.
Exactly. So I just remember these events where I think we're going to have an occasion in school, and the Reverend Father there, Father John Paul, he was going to pick like the best readers in the whole Olinko campus. So and I think I was not the head of liturgy then, if I can remember, but I know I used to read very well. And myself, you, and this guy Damola, I don't know if you can remember that incident. So we started practicing, and you actually won. I wouldn't say won, but you're like the best reader back in school then.
Thank you. I take that compliment.
And anyway, I can remember you used to have your special cutlery back in school. That kind of thing. So that's true. So just before we dive into the topic of the day, just a quick one. It's a segment. I call it the NDM, the no dull moments.
No dull moment segment. Bring it on.
Exactly. So jollof rice or fried rice?
Jollof rice.
30 BG or FC?
You shouldn't come for me, but I love the video, so 30 BG.
Okay, chill. I'm FC anyways.
They're both doing amazing things. So.
Of course. And lastly, if you're to go to the past, if you're to pick the life you lived in primary school, then secondary school, and uni, which one would you love to go back to?
That's actually a tough question, and I really never thought about that. But I think I would want to go back to university. Really. Why? I just guess it was a good time. I did so many amazing people. I met so many amazing people, and I did so many amazing things. And I think that phase of my life was what did the final shaping to my life. So I went to the University of Ibadan, by the way, the first and the best. Every other school comes after us. You can debate it as much as you like. But I had a good experience in school. I was a leader. I was a student leader. I was in debate graduating. I did so many amazing things, and in fact, all the amazing things I did in school is what has brought me to where I am today. So I would want to do that again. Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. And just talking about school. Okay, for the record, UI is actually the only school that I respect in the whole of Nigeria.
Good. Put some respect on our name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't be too. I don't know. Don't be too proud.
I'm trying not to be. Yeah.
Why is because you actually gave birth to OAU.
OAU people, can you hear him? Because I don't want to be hearing. I don't want to be hearing.
No. That's just the only reason. Because like you are definitely is the first school.
And we're the best, first and best.
Oh my goodness.
You a lot of people in the corner
greatest
wondering what this is about.
Anyways, so that's chilled. Yeah. So there's been a lot of things going on in the society, and just one of the things I just want to talk about today is about women generally, and women in the corporate world, women in the corporate society, feminism and all of that. So to start with, there's this thing that has been going on for so long, and I feel like the meaning in African setting, or let me say Nigeria, is quite different from what it means in the outside world, in the Western world. So to you, as a woman of career, you've done so well for yourself, for your friends. So to an extent, I quite know a little bit about you. So what does feminism mean to you?
I think I just want to start by saying I am a feminist. I have never felt the need to say I'm not a feminist, right? I am a feminist. Everything that has brought me to where I am is because some women stood up and said, women's rights are rights that should be entrenched. Women's rights are rights that should be upheld. So I am a feminist. I'm a feminist in every sense of it. But let me say that I'm also aware that some diversions or some different meanings to feminism has been created by individuals, and that's fine. Every concept through history has been shaped by people's definition of it, and that is why whatever definition of a concept you think is right and you have tested over time, you keep to it. You don't say that, because what you hear people say is these feminists, they are always saying this, they are always saying that, they want men to do this for them. There would always be misconceptions to every credible concept, but that does nothing to the actual meaning of the concept. So for me, over the years, this is what I would say I define feminism to be, and I have tested it to be true, and I've seen society, I've seen it in people that actually advocate for the concept. Feminism is the right and choices of every woman, I say every woman, being upheld. What this means to me granularly is, if a woman wants to be a full-time housewife and she has made a choice to be, she should be allowed and supported with a decision. On the other hand, if a woman wants to be the president of a nation, she should be supported by society and everyone around her to achieve our dreams. So every woman's right to choose what they want to be and enjoy societal acceptance to that is what I define as feminism. So that to me is what I think feminism is. I mean, anybody can contest that, but that is what I believe and that is what I live by.
All right. I think, you said it all, I suppose. I'll use the word I suppose.
So just it's not a question and answer. So let me ask you.
Okay.
What do you think the concept of feminism is, and what are your reservations about what it has become?
Oh well, to me first, the way I see feminism is two ways. Number one, I think the good and the bad part. So the good part is the fact that I feel like women are actually advocating for gender equity. You know, where women are well represented in all spheres and all walks of life, that kind of thing. But on the other hand, that's the negative side of it. Now it feels like women hate men, or women just wants to take the position of men, you know, that kind of thing. For me personally, I don't know, the concept of feminism is actually very broad, very, very broad. But I think at the end of the day, it's still a mixture of both good and bad. You know,
just like every concept.
Yeah, just like every concept. But lastly, I'll just cap it all. I'm just gonna say that feminism, in the sense, feminism has always been mostly attributed to relationships in, let me say, the Nigerian setting, you know, because like almost everybody's talking about man, woman, relationship, that kind of stuff. So it's always like, I can do this, I can do better than a man, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, reality, let me say, in reality, it's not always like that. Yeah. So yeah, I just feel like it's very diverse and all of that.
Yeah.
So, and when you was talking, you talked about like women being the president and stuff like that. It's very possible.
Yeah.
Very. You know, America, for example, Kamala Harris contested, and the president of Mexico. Yeah. She's a woman. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, in the Nigerian context, is it possible for a woman to ever be the president of the nation?
Let me say again. I'll add to the definition I've already given. Okay. Feminism is a movement.
Okay.
And what the most beautiful thing about movements and journeys is that the destination might not be seen by everyone.
Okay.
Every little step to arriving at that destination is better for the people traveling. Every milestone makes sense. Okay. It might not make sense to everyone that, we are now at this milestone, but when you look back at where we are coming from, you will know that we have made progress, and that's what I say. So whether or not a woman would ever be a president of Nigeria is going to be the responsibility of all Nigerians to determine. Okay. But I would say if we look back, we now have women. I think it's about 3% now in the Senate. You know, we have women in the House of Representatives. You know, we have women in the State House of Assemblies. You know, we have chairmen of local governments. Women contesting. Every milestone is good for us. I mean, don't you think it was really weird that at a point in history we're not even allowed to drive? Like, we could not vote, we could not go on maternity leave for 3 months. Now some companies even offer 6 months. So for us, and I'm sure every woman that really wants well for our race, or for not the race, but for our group, would understand this. Every milestone is good for us, and we would continue to force society, because it's our duty. Some women stood up and said, you know what, women should vote. Some women stood up and said, you know, driving doesn't require any special mental skill that women don't have. We can't drive. Some women said, you know what, engineering is not going to be a profession for only males. I would also go and do engineering. There are women like Hillary Clinton, like Kamala Harris, that said, you know what, presidency is not just for men. I'm going to contest. Every decision, every milestone is good for us. And when we keep forcing ourselves to society and proving ourselves, which is obviously sad, because men don't have to prove themselves, and some men are not even half as competent as women, but they enjoy a society that has fueled their ambition regardless of what gender they are. So for women, I mean, sadly, is the burden that we carry. We have to continue to prove to society that we are able, that we are capable. Like I said, every milestone is good for us. But let me say this: presidency of Nigeria, I would say, I would actually laugh, because Nigeria that is still asking someone if that was what in Lagos, whether or not they are Lagosians, and so because their mother is Igbo, they cannot. Is that the Nigeria we really think women, at this time can be presidents of? Is it a Nigeria where you are told you are in Lagos, but really your name is Chinedu, so because you are Chinedu, even though you are competent, you cannot lead us? We are divided by lines that are sometimes ridiculous, ethnic lines, religious lines, and even more additionally gender lines. So I hope that someday, I will be part of the women that will allow us to achieve those milestones. Even though we have not gotten there, I think that one day I would want to be a woman that has added to our milestones, such that women after me can look back and say, because of this person, imagine somebody in 10 years being a female president of the United States. Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris are women that gave them that platform and showed them it was even possible to contest in the first instance. So every woman that keeps trying, the Fọlọ́run Ṣalákija of Nigeria, the Bùkún Awóṣíkà that was the first chairman of a bank, women like that, they keep showing us that it is possible, and one day, even though our journey might be slower because of society we live in, we'll get there. Yeah,
that's cool. That actually makes a lot of sense. And just to be very factual, I think as of last year, 2024, the representation of women generally in Nigeria in the Nigerian politics was approximately 3.4%.
Yeah, just about that.
And okay, there's this thing trending currently, and just before I go into that, I feel like before women attain some certain positions, there's a lot of difficulty, and I feel like they get it from men especially, but I wouldn't, don't let me say from men especially,
from even women,
because it's not going to take me to the question of the phrase women supporting women, because to me I feel like women supporting women is a sham. Okay, so for example now, what is going on in the House of Parliament currently, between Senator Natasha and the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio? I'm sure you've seen that video where she stood up and she was like, she's not going to leave her seat because of this and all of that. And just, I think 2 days ago on Arise TV, she was talking about how the Senate President made sexual advances to her, but in that video where she was talking, if you look at it very well, it was another woman that went there to switch off her mic. That's one. Secondly, I think probably 2 days after, there was this trending video again of another woman, coming out, telling her that she should apologize.
Oh, okay, the other woman, I think it was Lady Gaga,
that she should apologize to the Senate President. I, for one, as a guy, and I feel like this goes out to the whole of Nigerians, in general. Like, a lot of people were actually behind her. They were supporting her, that this ridicule, like, it was just too much. It was the castigation, the antagonism was just high. So, like, what can you say about that?
Let me just say that everyone that thinks that women are dramatic or exaggerate their experiences need serious help. If you look at our society and you think that, a woman is just being dramatic because she reacts a particular way to things, it's not our reality. For instance, I drive and I'm a woman, and just today, in fact, a friend was in my car earlier today, and men want to even tell you where to drive. It's that ridiculous. Men want to show you where to drive your car, like a man on a Okada, that doesn't have a car wants to tell you how you should drive your car. Some people pass by you and have not made any comments, maybe because you just took a wrong turn, you're trying to find your way. They have not made any comments, and then they pass, they realize it's a woman, and then they make their bargain. Would you park your car if you don't know how to drive? Especially when you're a young woman.
Yeah.
So all these things are not imagination.
Okay.
You know, I feel like men even do it without realizing. So sometimes I forgive people when they do like, especially when, because I live with this, let me start from the fact that I live with this general notion that you are only as good as the information that you have. So if somebody is being mean to me, or, you know, generally just being, you know, mean, I don't first think it's a personal attack.
Okay.
I think they probably don't know as much. They don't have the necessary information. You know, they just think that they can talk to people anyhow and it's fine. It's their problem, not a me problem.
Wow.
So that's the first thing. So when I see men like that, to be honest, it's not every time that is from a place of oppression.
Yeah.
Sometimes men just have this protective, caring, overzealous part of them that makes them feel like they want to be in control, which is sometimes very bad. You know, they want to be in control of people, of other people, especially women. So there's a man saying, oh, you know, this is how you should, I'm just using the driving in, this is how you should turn. Sometimes when they do it, it's not really because they hate you or they want to oppress you, but they can't help themselves because the society makes them feel like women are always weaker vessels in every situation. So they are damsels in distress, we're looking for their superhero, Superman to save them from traffic problems and all of that. So yes, women go through a lot, you know, from the society, and women supporting women is not a farce.
Okay.
Every time I, you know, go online sometimes, and some people are saying, you know, in the comment section, they're saying, you know, women supporting women in the mud. Women don't support. That is not true. For me, I can share my testimony, and I know there are so many women that can share their testimonies of how other women have supported them in life and in career. For instance, I always mention the story of when I first came to Lagos. A woman asked me for over 2 years in total, you know. She asked me for, and she wasn't my family member. She just saw a young girl in distress, and she allowed me into her family. Not just that, she wasn't a single woman. She allowed me into her family and housed me, and it's a kindness I will never forget, and it's the kindness I extend to others. Personally, as a woman as well, I mentor a lot of young girls.
Okay.
There's no young girl that can come into my DM to ask for any information that I would not be happy to answer them, no matter how busy I am, because I feel like that is the little I can do. So I take every platform I have to support other women like myself, and that is just me. I know of a lot of my friends, a lot of people around me in the company, in corporate organizations I've worked in. I have worked with amazing women. I've worked with women that, you know, want to find. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to whitewash the whole female gender and say all women are nice. No, but every time we foster a narrative that women don't support women, we allow us to take a step back, 2-3 steps back to the journey that we are fighting for a place in society. Every time we say, oh, you know, women, me, I don't have female friends because, you know, they are always jealous. You know, I don't have female because females are everybody, every gender has people that are good and people that are bad. And the more you make your mind look like, oh, I am the victim of some people's, you know, people don't want to support me, or all the friends I have had are bad, you know, or all the women I've met, you know, there's this wicked boss in my workplace that you know, she's woman. Let me talk about that. I've seen that too. Women are the, you know, you don't even want to work for a woman. They are the ones that stress you the most in the organization. That's not true.
Wait, sorry, just before you continue.
Yeah, that's not true.
Which do you prefer, male or female bosses?
Both.
Okay, which have you enjoyed working with the most?
Both.
Okay.
Both, and that's the truth. Both. I would not lie, and I always say it. First of all, I would not lie that there are some women or some men that are more difficult to work with. And with women, I always say, these women carry the burden of trying to prove to everyone that they are capable already. Okay. Because of the way the society is, Nigerian society, it's patriarchal. Men are revered. It's so funny that I always ask my friend, when you go to a restaurant and you just go with a man and you buy food, The receptionist is not going to give you the paper. Trust me. They're not going to give you the paper. They are not going to give you the paper. They're going to give the man. Even if you are the one that has brought the man to eat, they're going to give the man the paper. That's how patriarchal the society that we live in is. So imagine you are a woman living in this kind of society and you are working with other males. There's first of all a burden that society has placed on you to prove yourself to be capable to be the boss. So you're trying, I want to be the boss. You know, if they don't meet my deadlines, it's an attack to my boss nature or my boss role. You know, if I ask them to come by 8, they come by 9. You already carry that burden. So it's not that they are necessarily more difficult than men. It's just because that's how I see it. Some people will say, Sean, that's not true. I agree with you, but that is how I see it, and that's the excuse I give women in my own workplace and every other place. They are trying, and I'm sure if you ask women in leadership position, ask partners of multinationals, ask women in corporate governance, ask women in sustainability, ask CEOs, ask MDs that are women. They carry this burden. They have to prove the metrics that they have to show society that they are capable. It's not as tight as when it's not as loose as when men are involved in those leadership roles. So in the workplace, they are trying, and sometimes when they are trying, it's a lot of burden that they are trying to carry while still carrying on their roles. That's why it sometimes looks like they are more. Oh, where is it? Why? But that's not necessarily the case, and that's just an argument, by the way. I would also say that in my own, I've worked over 6 years in the corporate world. I do not think that women are worse bosses than men, and I don't think that men are better bosses than women. All I have seen is different people, different personalities, and different ways of handling issues.
I think that's chilled. I think you're just being diplomatic.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so? Okay, so have you had a bad boss? No, so your experience, let me throw it back to you, Aaron. Your experience, men as a man as your boss and a woman as your boss, which one, and also giving the explanation I just gave about how sometimes it's just them trying to prove themselves. What do you think?
Well, so I think the bosses have and it's a little bit tricky, but I think I've my experiences so far, I've done I think corporate world, both corporate and outside corporate. I've worked with some very private businesses, business organizations as well. So I think corporate, I think I have like 5 years experience because I've been working right from uni. You know, I've just always wanted to do something. You know, from real estate to construction to media, then to I think that's all I can remember for now.
A multidimensional man.
Of course. So I think man, I've actually worked with some bosses. I've not really worked with a woman. But I think the last organization I worked, I did work with some women, and it was very pleasant. Very
good
pleasant.
People.
Good people. I think
don't listen to them.
I think it depends on the personality at the end of the day. But I've also worked with some men that are amazing, men bosses, and I've worked with some that are more.
You see, it is not a gender problem.
You get as
and let me just mention, I personally, I put a burden on myself to make sure that I am the woman boss I want to see. So in my office, I'm not top management yet, but I want to make sure that, for me, work is secondary. I want to make sure that the people I'm working with are inspired by me, right? I can help them when I can. I can assist in whatever way I can. And anytime anybody says, oh, a woman, I always say, this generation of women will be different, and this is how we do it, by starting with yourself. You want female bosses to be nice, but you are just an associate. How are you treating the graduate trainee? You are a senior manager. How are you treating the manager? The manager, how are you treating it is people, is it not associate that becomes CEO tomorrow?
Exactly.
It is. So let's talk to ourselves and not just expect, and some of us too, when we see female, it's a very personal topic, when we see female bosses, even when they have done nothing to you, you already have this idea that they are going to stress you. Some of you when you say, God, my boss is a female, you have not even given them the chance to prove themselves.
Sorry, there's this thing about women. I think scientifically, women generally, they have hormonal imbalances. So it's like they project it onto their co-workers. I've been a victim before.
Okay.
I've been a victim before.
Yeah.
There was this woman, a married woman. I don't know what she was going through in her life or her family, but I know that I was always at the receiving end at some point. Like, it was very obvious. I don't know, whatever it is her husband has done to her or whatever it is, but I was always at the receiving end most of the time. And sometimes the person is just nice and I'm like, what's this, like, just stay somewhere. That kind of thing. So but for me personally, I don't really like to get close to female bosses. There's just a lot of things attached to it and our society. And the other time you mentioned,
for this role we want only light-skinned women, sometimes as ridiculous as that. But the thing is, the fact that these things are happening in society means that we have a lot of work to do as a society to continue to preach, even for both genders, that there is more gender inclusivity. If a man wants to be a makeup artist, wants to be a nurse, wants to be a marketer, wants to be whoever they want to be, they should be allowed. If a woman wants to be an engineer, wants to dig wells, wants to fly planes, wants to do whatever they want to do, they must be allowed. So as a society, it is on me, you, all of us to continue to preach and ask for more gender inclusivity in all parts and in all career and gender roles.
Nice. And I think this brings us to the end of the first segment. And just before we go, I personally, I think women, I don't know how do I put this now? I think women are actually stronger in a lot of things, and women have taken a lot of responsibilities, and this is because I have actually enjoyed a lot of benefits from women. I'm talking about my family, my aunties, my sisters, my cousin sisters. There was this time, like, I was at my lowest of the lowest, and people that actually came around, supported everything. I was just saying women. So it's actually
just to answer that. Guess what? I saw one article, I think during the week, that said that men that had female children are more likely to live longer than men that had male. Just to add that.
All right. So I'll just say shout out to all the women in the world.
Shout out to you.
All the positive people, and shout out to men as well.
Yeah, shout out to men.
Yeah, brotherhood.
I love men.
I love women. So this brings us to the wrap of the first episode of The Gist with Aaron West, talking about women in the corporate world. And it has been a very lovely conversation, a very lovely gist with my very good friend here over how many years now? I don't know, since
maybe 15
years
20
plus. That kind of thing.
Thank you for inviting me. I really had a good time.
And just she's a lawyer, she's a tax consultant,
entrepreneur, public speaker, amazing woman,
everything. She's a chartered accountant in the making. Work in progress, that kind of thing. Right. So peace out.
Thank you. Till next time. Bye.